Hello, hello.
Hi,
Happy
how are you?
2021.
Happy? Yeah, sure.
Yay.
Of course. Yes, how are
Welcome,
you?
welcome.
I like your background. I love the colored background. Did you change it? Or are you actually in a different room?
I'm actually in a room. Believe it or not, this is my daughter's office. She is a senior manager for NBC Sports, and so she and
Oh
her
my
husband
God.
are expecting their second baby. So they took one. I know their one last vacation before the baby arrives end of April. So I'm on half grandmother duty. So I
Oh,
did from last Saturday till tonight. The other grandmother comes right after this, and we switch shifts, and then she takes over for the rest. It has been a hoot. So I'm in my daughter's office because I tried being upstairs kind of in her bedroom,
uh-huh.
just because Skylar and Stephanie, my assistant slash Sky's caregiver, is in the other room. And,
Uh-huh.
dogs are down here. It was so cold in their master room. Literally, I had another
Really?
coaching like an hour ago, and it was so cold. My eyes were watering, my nose was
Oh,
running. I had to pause in the middle and go and get a jacket and socks. And I was like, I am so sorry, but this
oh
is
my
just so
word.
distracting for me. I am so cold. So, and in this room, it's actually warm. It's just so bizarre with central heating. Sometimes one room you close the door and it gets hot. Another room you close
Yes.
it and it becomes a refrigerator. And that's their master
Yes.
bedroom. It was like, oh my God. So I thought,
Yeah.
I'll take, I'm a Florida girl. I'll take heat over freezing cold any day. And that way, at least I won't be sitting here. You think I'm like very emotional. I'm like wiping the tears and
He has a red nose and
exactly. We're past Christmas, so I can't go incognito as Rudolph. So
I'm gonna get my dog out of here. Come on, go. She's being distracting. I thought maybe she'd just settle down, but no.
well, you may hear
So,
my sweet girls because there is not a lot of separation
ah.
here. So they may
how
say
old is your how old is your current grandbaby?
he's going to be 2 in April as well. So they're going to be
Oh,
approximately 2 weeks apart, birthdays, but
okay.
2 years and 2 weeks apart. So
Oh, how
Caden
fun.
turns 2 on April the 16th. And oh my gosh, Terri, he has been waking up. So I have a little baby monitor, right? Dear sweet thing has been waking up at like either 2:30, and then 4 and 4:40.
Oh,
This morning it was 4:40.
oh
I
wow.
I know. And so they definitely got their money's worth. I mean, I love him, but holy
Sure.
freaking moly. Like last night, Sky and I looked at each other around 9 and we went, bed. Yep, bed. And we're like night owls, and we were in bed at like 9 because we just like knew what we were up against. And sure enough,
Right,
4:40
right.
in the morning, I'm hearing
You're not used to that.
no, no. And I
Right.
thought maybe he'd go back to sleep, and I'm looking at the baby monitor, and he's at the rail like, hello, and I'm like, oh my God, he's awake.
Ah,
Let's get up, let's have fun, let's enjoy him, and let's play.
right.
So
Oh,
yeah, so we had
well,
5:30 a.m. day, play before. He has been going to daycare the last couple of days just so I could get some work done. Um,
right, right.
but it's
Wow.
a hoot.
That's why you have children when you're really young, I think.
I know.
Yeah, it's like you wonder how you did it because, well, your daughters are close in age, right?
Yeah.
So you probably had two in diapers at the same time. Mine were 4.5 years apart, but you
Okay.
look back and you think, how did I do it? Well, because you had no option,
I
you
know.
know.
It's so
So
funny. I look back because I actually have 3 kids, and each of them are 2.5 years apart. And from the time my youngest was 2.5, I was a single mom. And so
Oh my
people used to
gosh, I can't
say to
even
me,
imagine that. I forgot that.
yeah.
That's really hard.
And my mom lived in New York and I lived in Florida. So there was really no, no easy support, right? I mean, if I went to the
Close
grocery
support,
store, it
yeah.
was with my brood. And people used to say, "Oh my gosh, I have no idea how you do it." And I would be like, "Oh, well, it's not that bad." I mean, and now I look at what Saya and Robert, and I'm like, "Wow, how did I do that?"
Right.
It was crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I think it can be challenging with two full-time parents,
yep,
and then being a single parent, but again, it's like you don't have an option. You don't
right,
know any different because you don't have an option. You just
right.
keep having to put one foot in front of the other every day.
Exactly, exactly. So, anyway, enough about me. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Christmas and New Year's was good. We did have some exposure to COVID, but none of us got it. My brother-in-law did.
Okay.
And he's okay. He wasn't that sick. My father-in-law never got it either, and my brother-in-law had lives across the street from my father-in-law. So we were a little worried. My
Yeah.
brother-in-law is a plant mechanic at one of the local hospitals here, and he's in the midst of it all the time because he's doing the negative pressure rooms where they're keeping the COVID patients. So he's in the middle of it every day for 9 months now.
Wow.
And so it's amazing he didn't get it before this, but he got just very mild.
Yeah.
And but we were worried. And then Max was over helping our neighbor yesterday, who he's an older gentleman who tends to not want to hire the right people to do the job. He can do it. And so his house is basically a death trap. And Max went over to help him do something and fell
Oh
and
no.
ga- gashed his head really good. Took a couple little scoops out of his nose, the bridge of his nose, cut his finger, cut the tip of his little finger. I mean, just kind of sliced that off. So it was really bloody yesterday evening. And so I
Oh
called in sick
no.
today. Yeah, we cleaned him up and he didn't want to go to the ER. And I don't really think that he needed to. He didn't hit his head. It's amazing that he didn't get more injured. He hit a filing cabinet on the way down. He was on a ladder
Oh my
from an attic, a
gosh.
high attic door, yeah, and then hit the ground. So he is damn lucky that he's actually alive, first of all, but
Yeah.
second of all, up and walking. So he has an appointment with his doctor this afternoon just to be sure his tetanus is up to date and that,
Yeah.
I mean, I cleaned the wounds out really, what I thought was really well. I mean,
Yeah.
I've done it before, but still, I'm not an expert, but I don't think that we put some steri. Anyway, point is that we're just really thanking the good Lord today that he's actually doing okay. So,
Yeah.
but otherwise, in terms of myself, I'm doing really well. I'm still, I think I'm still working on kind of rewiring my thoughts, and putting, getting rid of negative. And I find that it's up and down a lot. You know what I mean? Like for a couple of weeks, I'll feel really confident and I feel like, I'm on my way and it's progress over perfection. And, it's okay to have, little slides here because that's just how life is. But by God, I'm moving forward. And then there's times like, it's like, really, am I just fooling myself? Am I, you know?
And that's again, I know when you're in the middle of that, it's no consolation to know, but that is the ebb and the flow, exactly. And it can be anything from related to sleep or blood sugar or whatever, but it can also just be that has been decades and decades of a pattern of allowing our of having that be our natural wiring, to a
I
certain
think that
extent.
must be what it is, but it scares me a little bit because I don't want to, you know, I I don't want it to derail me, and I worry about that, and I shouldn't let it
So
because
right.
I'm firmly committed.
Yeah.
What
So,
whatever my outcome is, I am committed to going and having a great life, great health, whatever my job ends up being. I sort of have kind of decided that it probably will find me. Um, I I'm going to work towards it, and I don't know.
and well,
What do you think?
it- it- so to mirror back to you what this sounds like, what this is, realize that when you say, I am committed, or, I mean, when you say, I don't want to go back, I mean, your focus is on what it was before,
Right.
but notice that now you're aware. And so you can't go back because you have an awareness of where you
Oh,
want to be that you never
yeah.
had before. Before, when you and I started working together, you were in confusion and pure stuckness and overwhelmed with no idea why,
Right.
right? And just saying,
Right.
I'm just not as positive as I used to be, and it was just heavy, 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 heavy. And now, to be the fact that that your
Just
mind is calling kind of all hands on deck when you have a time when you're like, oh, I'm just kidding myself, that's actually a huge step forward, because it's your mind saying, we have a choice, and there are multiple possibilities here.
right. I never thought about it like that. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, and I
Yeah,
wrote down here that I have the awareness now, so I can't go back. And
right.
I, yeah, and I'm choosing. I am committed to that. But I never even thought about being fearful that I'll go back being kind of a negative thing, although it's a good thing because now I realize I have a choice. But yeah, so
And this is where you learn to soothe yourself and love yourself a little bit, and by saying, even, I love you and I'm so proud of you for being so committed now to where we are going to go. And with this level of commitment, we are going there. And this is part of the process of realizing what we want. And therefore, what we don't want becomes more clear along the way, too. Right. And because of
right,
before you had this awareness, it just was a bad mood. I'm just in a bad place. It just is. In fact, it was part of who you were. Now it's like, wait a minute. I don't want to be, I don't want to think those kind of thoughts that will lead me back there. So now there's a whole
right.
new association.
And that's pretty exciting to build, and I do think that. I do. I know that. So maybe these are all just things actually making me aware that I don't think that way
Yeah,
anymore. Oh yeah, that 6, 8 months ago I might have done that, but not now. So
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. And
okay,
that's where you can
okay,
soothe yourself and,
yeah,
really say, hey, let's pause for a minute. And the fact that I'm thinking these kind of thoughts shows tremendous growth. I never thought these kind of thoughts before. I just felt like whatever will be, que sera, sera, I'm kind of
right,
destined to
right.
have to deal with
Murphy's
it.
law.
Yeah,
Murphy's law.
exactly.
That's so bad. I never realized how bad that was.
Right.
Because if
Exactly.
you live by that, it will happen.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And it's a very victimy sort of perspective, right? That I have
Right.
no control or influence. We don't have 100% control by any means, nor should we.
Sure.
Um,
Right.
but we certainly can influence, right?
Right.
And
Right. And
I mean,
we
our objective is not to control the outer world. Our
right.
objective is to become, consistently clear energetically, emotionally, on
Right.
what that thing that we desire feels like. So
Right.
it's
Right.
actually our goals. It's funny because we're really, we're in the peak of goal writing season, right?
Oh, yeah.
And And the objective really is, how do I want to feel? How do
Yes, I agree.
and who do I want to be? Right?
Well, and I have to tell you that, when you and I started talking, that, sometimes I just couldn't wait to go to bed. I just wanted the day to be over so I could go to sleep, have a break
Right.
kind of,
Yeah.
and then get on with the day the next day so that I could get to the weekend where I could just be home and not have to work. I have energy now. I have a lot more energy than I even imagined. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm bouncing off the walls, but I feel good,
Mm.
Meredith. I feel good. I have a lot of energy. I think my mentation is sharpening up again. Um, I've been working on some breath work because I do meditate. I would say easily 5 days a week.
Yeah.
There are some weeks, generally speaking, and it's not always very long. Some because I use the Calm app or just breathing,
Yeah.
so it can be anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes a day. But I think the breath work is important for me because I think I told you this. I found myself holding my breath a lot.
Yeah.
And, hypoventilating is not a good thing. That's like having daytime apnea, and apnea is not good for our
Right.
brains, right? So I'm thinking that breathing better, being more aware of my breathing, it's more important for me to get a good night's sleep, although, that kind of comes and goes too with just life. But, and my thought processes are really, I think my mentation is improving as well, my alertness, things like that. So I'm pretty excited about that.
That's
So
fantastic. And you should be excited about that, right? I mean, that is just
yeah, it's
because,
huge.
yeah, it's huge, and they're all so connected, right? They're all
Yep.
so connected to each other. So yeah, you're definitely making leaps and bound progress. And as you really focus on that presence that we talked about, and just to emphasize it again, it's the difference between saying, okay, where do you want to be? We'll say a year from now. So next year at this time, where do you want to be? And it's the difference energetically, emotionally, spiritually between saying, well, next year at this time, I want to be in a job that I love. I want to be healthy. I want to have, time with my family, things that I really love. And you can see that becomes, again, almost like a grocery list a little bit. And it's almost looking at it through a microscope, and based on what is not present, or what you might be concerned about losing along the way.
Uh-huh.
Okay, versus, okay, a year from now, where do you want to be? So a year from now, I want to wake up absolutely knowing that I am living some of the best days of my life. I wake up bounding out of my bed, filled with energy, excited to see the success on all fields that I have. To be able to look and feel the ease and actually pride as I look at my financial health, and the accomplishments that I've had have just been amazing. And even more so is just the joy that I feel in my days, and the appreciation where I really am feeling the sunshine, and and aware of the smells and the interactions. So you see kind of the difference there.
Yeah, I do. Actually, you're focusing on feelings.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, because I've never made goals and really worked towards them. I mean, have, but not like that. Um, and I still tend to, because I've been working on the mapping, and I, s- I wrote, on one of them, I feel, and I did it in present tense, kind of like, on the must haves,
Yep.
right? And it said feelings and experiences. I didn't know whether it was a good idea or not, but I wanted to write them not as if, oh, I want that, but that I have that now. I love what I do. I feel excited every day, but I, I don't like emote like you are, which I think is really cool. I'm still working on that.
You're
I
getting there.
can,
You're getting closer and closer. And here's actually a little tip along those lines. When you are writing some of these things, if you can write them from the perspective of looking backwards. So
kind of like scripting or something like that. Is that what it's called? Or
it has to be very, very authentic. But here, the difference with
okay,
programming your subconscious, when you say, I want something, the unspoken part of that sentence is something that I don't have.
right, lack.
And so yes, so the reality in that statement, in other words, the present tense, the self-definition in that is lack of what it
Yes,
is. The reality
yes,
is not that I'm going to get it. It's the
right,
reality is that I'm lacking it. And I'm in a position,
yes.
I'm in a state of wanting. That is
Hmm.
the present tense reality. That is how, Meredith is
Right.
defining herself in that moment, as opposed to something like what I said, when I use the example, I want to be waking up in the morning feeling this,
Yes.
or a year from now, I want to have accomplished things that I never would have dreamed would be possible at this point. I want to have, notice now I'm talking past tense. I want to have accomplished things. I want to have broken
Okay.
records. I want to have loved more, laughed more. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you turn it into past tense, the definition of reality becomes accomplishment, not lack.
Right. Well, and that's why I was trying to I sleep great and I have great health. I work out regularly. Um, I travel mostly around America. I I I go to Israel. I meditate regularly. I feel accomplished, but so that's all present. But it would be kind of good to go back and do that. I will work on doing that.
Yes, play with that a little bit and say,
Yeah, that's rewriting everything as like you said, as you already have it,
yes,
and
because
you're rewiring.
exactly, because the only thing with writing in present tense is that some people's minds have big BS meters. And so
Oh,
you're
okay.
saying, I'm traveling to Israel, then there could be a part of your mind that's going, no, you're not. You're sitting
Yeah.
right here. What are you talking about? What, fake it
Right.
till you make it? Just that whole,
Right.
and it can inadvertently amplify the lack versus the presence of. Whereas
Okay.
when you go beyond that and say, I want to have done this,
Right.
this, and this, or I want
Yeah.
to be
Okay.
waking up. I want to be hopping onto an airplane, traveling. I want to be hopping on an airplane, having traveled to Israel, right?
Right. Right.
Because that
Right.
also sets the wheels into motion of, oh, the expectation is of completion. So how do we make that happen,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
A year
Okay.
from now, I want to have answered beyond any question, what is my next big step forward? I want
Okay.
to have
I like that.
found myself in something so fulfilling, so rewarding, that I'm so passionate about, that I'll look back and kind of giggle, saying, I didn't even know this could be possible.
Okay. I like that. I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll make time every day. I mean, I do it now anyway. I mean, in terms of making time. So, um, yeah, that'll be my new thing to do.
Yes, yes, yes. Wonderful. And really, I mean, as you move forward now with this, um, just be aware of the growth that you are accomplishing, and that even for you to be playing with those concepts is huge growth, right?
It actually is, and it's taken a while, and I, kind of would like it to hurry up a little bit, but I'm not. I'm being patient, and that's the human part of me. It's
Yeah.
like, come on, but I know it can take a while. I didn't get here overnight, and it's not going to change overnight. So,
Right. Well, and it's trusting the process too, right? I mean,
right, absolutely,
if you drink a great wine too soon,
right,
it's not going
right,
to be that great wine that everyone says it's destined to be,
right.
right?
No, absolutely, yeah. So, yeah,
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect.
no,
Excuse me one moment. I have
yes,
something tickling my nose. I want to go blow it.
yes,
Back.
go for it, go for it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Perfect. So yeah, because as you unfold at your own pace, that's where it's really going to sink in, right? And that's where you have the staying power.
Right. Right. Slow and steady wins the race, basically, or progress over perfection or whatever. But so do you think that, in terms of the mapping, should I
Yeah.
keep redoing those, like, and change how I'm wording all of this? Is that what you're recommending?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, well, so the mapping, I would just say going forward, as you do that,
Uh-huh.
to be aware of that wording. It's awareness as you go forward. It's
Yeah.
always going to be unfolding. And you can do those worksheets absolutely as many times as you want. In fact, it's not a bad idea at the beginning of the year to kind of check in and say, who
Uh-huh.
am I now? Because some of the things that might be even your mission might shift and change slightly, right?
Right.
Your mission and
Well,
your
and that one I had a hard time with, the mission, identifying your dreams and possibilities. I've not completed that one hardly at all because I don't know what to do with it, to be
right,
honest.
exactly. So
I
let's
don't know.
so
Or
what
my mission, vision, legacy. I don't know really what I'm trying that one, but all I got was wake up every day pinching myself. Is it true? Do I live this life? I have I mean, I don't know what to do with those. I don't know how to think. I don't know how to verbalize
yet
that
yet. And so
yet.
let's play
Yeah.
with that a little bit, because we've got
Okay.
your map here, and
Okay.
we've got some mission, we've got some passion, we've got some skills.
Yeah.
So let's move into well, let me take a look at this first.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
So with mission, we have helped those who otherwise might have been left behind to transform their lifestyle. We've got that. We've got Underground Railroad.
That's true.
Yeah. We've got
Yeah.
mission, of others to feel respected and heard, and whole health.
Okay. Fair
Anything
enough.
else with mission that you thought of other than pinching yourself?
um, I just have never thought this way. So it's like, well, I don't even know. I mean, my mission, I think about mission. You know, I think my mission is to be the best version of myself so that I can not only have my best life and show up in my as my best self, but that allows me to be there for everyone else I love. And you know, if I were able to either have a coaching business or find a job doing exactly what I want to do, you know, what I think about that is I I do want to give back. I think it's important to feel like you're doing something that is impacting other people's worlds.
Yep.
And I think that it's humbling. And I also just think, you know, it's not just so I can pat myself on the shoulder, it's kind of giving back. I mean,
No.
and I want other people to have that. So that's what I think. Does that sound, I wouldn't, I don't know how to word it, but
I want to introduce here is that even our missions evolve and expand. And so this is a beautiful starting place that will evolve, and that will become the next starting place for
okay.
more and more and more. And so to allow this to grow and to expand and to look for opportunities for it to show you clues along the way to become a little more specific along the way is
Yeah,
great.
because I have no idea how all this is going to happen, but some of the things I've read is you don't really have to know how it's all going to happen. You just have to know that that's it. It will.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's being able to really believe, to like, get to the point where and believing comes from not tangible evidence, but from that imagination, that getting so familiar with it that when
Yeah.
it does actually evolve and come into reality per se, that it feels
Hmm.
like deja vu almost,
Yeah.
right? You've
Yeah.
practiced that feeling so much.
Right. Well, and if I suppose if you have these hard and fast rules, like, well, I have to have this, you know, be open to the how, you know, ebbs and flows, things ebb and
Right.
flow, and things come to you that you didn't even imagine. So don't think you have it all,
Yeah.
but you know what you want because you feel it. It's in here and it's in here, and
Yep.
you're headed there. And so,
Yep.
okay, that makes
Absolutely.
sense.
Absolutely. And so and you want it to be a work in progress, right? You want to get content with the fact that, oh goody, I'll never get it done, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting. It's really the journey is a good share of it, right? I
Yeah.
mean, why would you want to go from point A to, I mean, to having everything like right away? I mean, that's, I mean, it's just the journey's fun. It's
Right.
exciting. It's like I can't wait to see what tomorrow is, and you wouldn't have that if you reached everything the next
Exactly.
day.
Exactly. And all the happiness studies have showed that when we get something, right, our happiness with it isn't indefinite. It's not like a diploma that you put on your wall, right? Or it
Right.
diminishes. That's why we keep striving and keep being wired for more, for further and further expansion. So it's being grateful. It's like,
Right.
oh, I love this. So what's next? You know,
Right. Right.
now what? Right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
For
Well,
sure.
and I heard it explained the other day, or I read it somewhere. I can't remember what it was. It was like, well, it's got to be the journey, because when you go on vacation, you go for the experiences, the feelings, all that stuff. But ultimately, I mean, the destination is you go home again. So, I mean, you need to really enjoy the journey, the being on vacation, enjoying that. You. So yeah, and I can get into that. I could really get into that, being excited about that.
Well,
So
and that's that exact analogy is why I often encourage people to be remember to be a local tourist, right?
right. Yes. Yes.
In your
Yeah.
own week, in your own location,
Right.
what would you do if you were here on vacation?
And do those things, right?
Do them. Do them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we may have talked about this, but one thing that I love is to pick a day and with husband or friend or whatever to say, okay, we're taking turns, but I'm planning an adventure. Here's what you need to wear. And it's the only rule is it's kind of places that neither one of you have ever been, experiences that or that you haven't been to for a long time. That if
Uh-huh.
you were a tourist, even if it's like a hidden gem, it's some sort of adventure that is not like the same old neighborhood place that you go.
Right. Right. No, that would be really fun.
It's amazingly fun because it gives you that same sort of freshness. It's like the people who will like go to Costa Rica or something and go ziplining, but never ever ever would do it here in the U.S. Right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? They'll do these adventuresome things and have a wonderful time. Well, and then be like, oh, I never go on vacation. I haven't gone on vacation before. It costs too much money. I don't have that much time. Well, there's a zip lining place an hour and a half from you. You
Yeah,
know,
there is actually. There is. And
okay.
that's what I wanted to do this last fall, and then COVID hit, but I'll be 60 this year, so that's what I want to do, and I want my whole family to go. And it's in the wine country, so I'd love to go zip
Oh, wow.
lining, and really actually do like an Airbnb, find a place to stay in the wine country, and then go find a great, have a great. I'll probably plan to have dinner at some place like a winery that's also a restaurant. I think it'd be really fun to do. And
Yeah,
that's what I want to do, because I want to go zip lining. I've never
absolutely.
been.
Absolutely. That's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah, it's exactly having that sort of a mindset, right? As looking for what realities, what definitions are you making that don't need to be there? I mean, when I'm at home, I do this, I do this, I do this, and that's something I would do on vacation versus come
right.
on, if you're a person who loves that little bit of adventure, especially, you want to make
Yeah.
sure that you're incorporating that into your
Well,
system, right?
then you're creating the life that you love,
Exactly. Exactly.
right? And I have a book here, at least while I'm residing in California. I
Yeah.
have bought a book of local trails to hike, because I like to hike. I don't want to backpack anymore. I'm not sleeping
Right.
on the ground. I'm not doing that. I glamp. I'm not
Right.
camping anymore.
Right.
But there's a lot of trails around here that I have not. I've lived here most of my life,
Yeah.
and there's a ton of trails that I have not enjoyed.
Yes.
And I kind of planned on doing that and haven't done anything about it. I have the book.
Yeah.
So I think that that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to plan my 60th birthday as if it were going to happen. Make all the arrangements, as COVID, whatever, we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, I think that's a really great idea. And between now and then, I probably have some trails I could hike on, you know?
Absolutely. I was just going to say it's great to plan that for your 60th. And yet, what about, I mean, January the 7th, you'll never live that again. What are you
Right.
going to make January the 7th mean to you?
And you know what? This makes me so mad that I've waited this long to learn some of this. It makes me so furious with myself that it took me so long. Although I know the other side of me says, well, it would be different if you'd have done it earlier. You probably wouldn't have, you weren't at the right time, in the right
Right.
place at the right time to actually understand what this means. And I get that. So I guess my next 20, 30 years could be absolutely phenomenal. And that's my plan.
And even if, not to like tiptoe on the edge of morbidity, but even if you only had two
I,
more days or 7 more days left,
right,
why wouldn't you make them the pinnacle days of your lifetime? If you have the knowledge that you have a
right,
capability, what can you do? And it doesn't have to cost
right.
thousands of dollars to do it. It doesn't have to be halfway across the world. It can be in your own backyard, and it can
Yeah.
be done. That's why you can't go back and undo the past, but you totally can choose how you're going to live from this moment forward.
Right, right. I agree. And we aren't promised tomorrow. And I think we all kind of know that we've all had deaths in our family that, by our age anyway, that,
Right.
we're pretty close. So, and you have an extraordinary experience in your life that says every day is a gift. And by God, I'm not going to waste it. So
Right. Yeah, for
it's
sure.
true.
And so it's just continuing to the discipline of reminding ourselves about that.
It's
Right.
true because we get complacent. We take things for granted. And um, I'm not doing that.
Right. And we think
Nope.
of, Monday, oh, first day of the week, instead of, okay, well, I get to go to work. How can I make this fun and an adventure? I did choose to go here. So how can we do that? And what else can I do? Is there something that would be fun on the way home? Even if I just take a few different roads, what can I do? What can I do
Right,
to make the most out of today?
right, right.
Right?
That's so great. And I don't think that way still. I have thought that way periodically. Um, I use your term. It's like when things don't necessarily go my way, I'll go, well, what am I going to make this mean for me?
Yep.
And I like that. So I've kind of stolen that from you, but it's really helpful sometimes in reminding myself, well, you have a choice,
Yep.
you know. Um,
I mean, people
but
have
I
met their like soulmates when their soulmates crash their car into them. I mean, come on,
I
right?
guess
That's
so.
not something you would typically say, no, I hope I get into a car crash today. Maybe I'll meet my soul,
Right,
right?
right,
That just
right.
is preposterous. So you really, you just don't know what any given scenario
It's
is
true.
opening the door for.
It's true. And I'm really, and I may be doing too much, but I'm also looking at things like, when you say yes to this, you're saying no to that, or you say no to something, you're saying yes to something else. And, there's a, there's an equal reaction, right? There's all of that kind of matters. I mean, I don't try to mire myself in that. I don't
Right.
let that define the day or the moment, but, um, I don't know, it's exciting to think about.
Yeah.
It
And
is exciting.
even when you say I'm not going to take any action, that's still an action.
That's
That's
true. When you don't make a decision, you've made a decision.
exactly. Exactly. There's no way not to be making a decision, basically.
Right.
It's an
right.
illusion if you think you're not. So,
It's scary too. I never thought about it being a real thing, but fear of success too. If you
oh, yeah.
start taking responsibility for all this stuff, it's like, well, then you kind of are responsible, and that's kind of scary. So
Yeah.
it doesn't
Yeah.
happen all at once though, so that's a good thing, I guess. You
It,
start,
yeah. Well,
yeah,
even going back to grandchildren, it does take 9 months, right? And there's more than just a physical reason why it takes 9 months. And
yeah,
if you're religious, if God created the world in 7 days, I can't create a baby human in what,
right,
5 minutes? Really?
yeah.
Um, it's to acclimate to who you have to become in order to be
Right,
there in that experience, to be
right,
able to be present there. So a lot of, I think that a lot of that is part of the evolution too. It's just a huge um, kind of science experiment, right? We get all of these things coming in and impacting us,
hmm,
and at this point in our life, what do we make it mean? And then we go with that for a little while and we go, ooh, this isn't working out. So like I thought it would. And so
uh-huh,
the soul searching, which allows us to be open, hopefully a little bit more, and we try a different interpretation and we go a different direction. And, it's just amazing what all can come from that.
yeah. I'm trying to hang out too after if I do a guided meditation. I'm trying to hang out too, and be okay with just being quiet,
Yeah.
just being with myself, um, things like that. Because I think that being so busy all the time, it's kind of a way of not being with yourself.
Yeah.
And I think it's part of the exploration of that. So I'm working on that. But I am really excited about doing more work on some of this stuff. I really am. And writing it in that tense that you mentioned, as next year, a year from now, I want to have had, I want to have done, I want to be, I want to, all of that. I'm totally stoked about that.
Yes, absolutely. And so going into your passions, we have some of the things you're passionate about, you love or you love doing, would be to explore new towns with your camera, culture, history, meeting new people with stories, reading, growth and learning, entertaining friends and family, being healthy and active, your husband, of course, concerts and the arts, 60s and 70s music, quiet mornings, meditation, mind and body connection, helping people avoid chronic conditions, life coaching, helping people make um, better decisions, inspiring a positive lifestyle change in others, giving back, helping others, educating people. Did we miss anything that you can think of?
I I talk a lot. I don't know. I can't think of anything right now.
Okay, perfect. Skills, we wrote um, that and these are skills or gifts, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Uh, that you're a great listener, you have an empathetic ear, educating people about risk factors, meeting people where they are, working on listening and talking less, putting people at ease, again, empathetic, great at getting through to people, 30 years in nursing, health and wellness, risk education, educating, training, your desire to help, you're patient with clients, and you're non-judgmental. So any other skills or gifts you think?
I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing to think about.
But
Still
it's,
makes me
see, this is the beautiful thing, is that this is what we're making our way through, right? And it's only because there is a bogus belief in there, a bogus conditioning, that it's arrogant to embrace your gifts, basically. I mean, we're talking things that, again, if you're religious, that God gave you as something unique to serve the world with. And if you're like, well, I don't want people to see it, right? And if you're strictly functional about it, if you clearly understand what your gifts are, what your skills, what your talents are, aside from being able to clearly then use them to make that positive impact, you also allow other people that same freedom, that same space to claim their skills, their gifts as their own without worrying about you judging them.
Right. That's true. Well, I should probably work on that a little bit. And there's some redundancy in there too, but I'm sure I was very redundant, but because it's easier to than to think about something new. But yeah, so maybe I need to work on that so I'm not so uncomfortable with it. Because I
I,
also think I'm fun to hang out with. I mean,
yeah,
it's not, I mean, I love to laugh. I love, being light. I love movies. I just I don't know. I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna work on that.
I
So
love
it's
that.
yeah,
I love it because you've earned that, right? You've earned that. I mean, you've earned now saying, look, I have all of these ways that I want to positively impact the world, things that I want to look back that I will have accomplished and been able to share.
yeah,
And in order to do that, and again, importantly, because I'm such an empathetic person, one of the big fears of people is fear of being judged. And if I don't exude a certain amount of, if this isn't confidence, but confidence doesn't mean arrogant. You can still be humbly confident about
sure.
what your gifts are, and do it in such a way that, again, it almost gives other people permission to finally take ownership and say, I am enough too. I am
Right.
worthy.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Makes a
Right?
lot of sense. Yeah.
Because when we're worried about being judged as arrogant or she thinks she's all that, if we say we have a skill or we're good at something, then that really it just doesn't allow anyone to be have the feeling that they're worthy, right? It
Yeah.
immediately sends you looking for, like when someone gives you a compliment, wow, you're really good at that. Oh, it was nothing,
Yeah. Right.
right?
Right.
So like
Right.
the safe, the respectable place is, oh no, 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 really, it wasn't anything. You could have done it too,
Yeah. Instead of just saying thank you.
right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or even, I mean, even, I mean, there's even a way to say, yeah, I know, I'm so excited. That is, you know, that that feels like my my superpower, and and I love it. And in
Yeah.
conversation with other people, being able to say, you know what, with this project, this is so your superpower, right? This is your genius zone.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to defer to you on this. And I've got
Yeah.
things that really are are my own superpowers, but this is your superpower. So you take this and you run with it. Let me hear what you feel.
And that's true. I mean, yeah, that's by
Okay.
a partnership, either in a marriage or in your job, and you're working on a project, getting the right people with
Yeah.
the right skills, whatever that happens to be,
Right.
can make it happen, either sooner than later, or just happen at all, you
And
know?
think of when you compliment someone that way, aside from the fact that it's training your reticular activation system to show you things that please you, but think how great these people feel. And it allows them to relax a little bit instead of being so tit for tat
Mhm.
of kind of if you know if you acknowledge that this is my superpower, then I'm going to be more prone to relax a little bit and allow you to have your superpower too and not feel like threatened and on the defensive.
Yeah, competitive or
Yeah,
whatever, so, yeah,
collaborative. It becomes more like a team.
right. Well, and I think that if you understand your superpowers or your gifts and skills, you're just open because you know yourself, you're good with yourself, you accept yourself just as you are, and your defenses are down. You don't have your shields up, and
Right.
people, without people actually saying that, they know that,
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
who are, not pretentious, or not, someone who's approachable, say, having, people who are approachable, um, that kind of says a lot.
Yeah. It sure
So,
does. It sure does.
yeah, yeah. And people want to work with people like that, or be around people like
Yeah.
that. So you have that attitude, so you draw those people to you.
Right. Definitely. And
So,
that is going to lead to more open doors, more opportunities, all kinds
yeah.
of things, right?
Yep. Makes me want to get that book out right now. I know exactly where it is, and start doing some, I mean, I know it's winter time here, but, you know, there's still some things we could do around here, especially with California's closed up, basically. I mean, our
Yeah.
economy is so bad right now. It wouldn't surprise me if we went into a depression.
Wow.
Um, but it doesn't mean that I can't get out and still make time to enjoy, um, my life.
Yes,
So
absolutely. And to get even more creative with it.
yeah, yeah. Max and I finished my resume. I took my health coaching test the other day. It was like 2.5 hours. Passed that.
Yay.
So I have a health coach certification, which will help with some validation. Um, I don't know that it'll bring me any more money or any more work right now, but I'm not really worried about that right now. It was something that was important to me to learn and accomplish.
Yes.
And so I have that, got my resume. I didn't update that, the fact that I actually passed it on my resume, but I did upload it to Indeed and LinkedIn, I think. I haven't updated my profile though. Um, I
Have
did
you
apply
done,
for a job.
remind me
Huh?
on LinkedIn, have you done, have we worked together on your about yet?
Um, we kind of talked about it, but I kind of wasn't really ready to
Yep. Got
do
it.
it yet. But we did talk about it. You kind of took me through how to make a banner. But we haven't talked about, oh, you know what, we did kind of a summary.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, but I haven't done any of that.
Okay. Okay. But when you get ready, I mean, that's the thing, but that's pulling it together. And that
Okay.
will come over the next few months. We'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that in the next couple of appointments. So that'll be really good. So we'll touch bases more about this, because I'm going to work on this. I'm going to work on getting more comfortable about my skills, and I am going to work on that. I can do that. I can
Yes,
do
you
that.
can. And that will
Yeah,
allow us to dive into the LinkedIn and everything like that and really
absolutely.
ready, and also help you get ready for interviews and stuff like that that
Yeah.
you'll
So,
get.
well, and I applied for a coaching job, but it wasn't a real, I don't know really what it was, but it was a company I had seen. They have like level one people that reach out to people, and then they actually have coaches. Anyway, I think that I was more qualified actually than they were looking for, but they let me know. They said,
Mhm.
thanks for applying, but you know, so, and I want more money than probably what they're willing to
Yeah,
pay, but it was still important for me to contact them and be in touch with them
yeah,
and start that process, and I fully expect to get declination notices, and that's okay with me.
yeah, for
I mean,
sure.
it is what it is, and
Yeah,
you learn from that. And still, just reaching out. I haven't looked for a job in 20 years, for God's sake. So it's important that I kind of get over that ego part of it. It's like, well, what if they don't want me? Whatever.
right,
Um,
right. Well,
I'm still moving forward.
yeah,
So
yeah, for
yeah.
sure, for
So
sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Anyway, that's where I'm at. So I don't know where we are on time. Oh, just about time.
yeah.
So
So, so so going forward, I really encourage you to work on these skills and to
okay.
work on taking kind of an ownership of these different aspects so that we can really, um, we can just really get you zooming forward with even more momentum.
Yeah, I feel good about this. I can do that. I can do that. And I'll have hopefully a lot to let you know about and
I
all
love
of
it.
that.
I love it. Yay.
Yeah. You're doing okay? You and the girls and everybody's
Yeah.
healthy?
Yeah.
Good,
Everybody's doing great. So looking forward to
good.
2021. So have some fun things brewing as well. So
Excellent.
yes. Yeah.
Excellent. So glad. All right then. Well, I'll wait for your link, and I said I was going to do it before, but I am. It's easier if I make the appointment with you sooner than later, then I can schedule around it. And
Exactly.
then I'm
Perfect.
not left going, oh, what does she have left? I
Yes.
don't know why I do that. I get so sidetracked, but it needs to be important, and I'm going to do it. It is important.
It is important. Yeah. And
It
clearly
is.
you're rocking it, Terry. It's awesome. So I
Thank
just
you.
acknowledge you so much. So
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. You're helping. I really appreciate your insight and all of that and your time. So,
truly my pleasure. Truly my pleasure.
all
All right.
right.
I'll see you next
Talk
time.
to you in a couple weeks.
Updates.
All right. Thanks a lot, Meredith.
Okay.
Have a
Bye.
good one. Bye.
You too. Bye.